bit chilly out. I know, you're thinking flowers and everything else by the time this is going to be premiered, but what's actually happening right now is I'm in just before Thanksgiving in November, and I have to get prepared for winter. So you get to bear through me doing my winter stuff when you're thinking about flowers and planting and green grass and things like that. But I need to get a project done. I got to get the season taken care of. Still a lot of stuff to do. So today what we're going to do is put the back blade on the good old Snowplow here. So if you ever wondered how a back blade works or how it goes on, today's your day. It's your lucky day. So we'll probably do that. Maybe talk a little bit about cold weather work and how to deal with it. And then, yeah, we'll just move on from there. One thing I want to start by noting is I will be using an impact today. I'm going to be using it to pull the bolts off. I will be using it probably to put the bolts back on, but I won't be using it to torque them down. The reason why is a impact is not a proper torque tool. You're not going to get a proper torque spec. As a matter of fact, you're not even going to get a torque spec. Ugga Duggas is not a torque spec. Let's get that straight right now. Ugga Duggas is not a torque spec. Unlike Tight It Till Your Pants Rip, which is a proper torque spec. But I digress. Let's go ahead and get these new back blades on. But before I even do that, I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about these back blades. So I have a Western Enforcer plow. This is a plow that just came out last year. I got it last year. Something I typically won't do is buy something in its first year out, but I did that with this plow. It's the only Western 7.5 foot plow that's a V plow. And it was actually cheaper than the straight plow. So it seemed like a no-brainer. Western changed their back plow, or their back blades, but they didn't change the numbers on them. So what happened was they're backwards compatible with the Fishers and the other plows that use those same blades. They're backwards compatible, but they're not forwards compatible with the Enforcer. But they kept the same number. So what happened was I contacted the company. They bought the blades. They sent them out to me. It was New Hydraulic. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about New Hydraulic. Got them on there. We didn't fit. Contacted him. He asked me to start sending pictures and stuff, make sure that I was putting them on right, that kind of thing. Because if there's anything he can help me with getting them on, then that would be great. He contacted Western, tried to figure out what was going on. And they were awesome about it. When they figured out they sent the wrong blades for my plow, they just said, here's the confirmation number, have it charged to the shipping charge to our account, ship it back. And yeah, he then, when they got that, they shipped me the new back blades. And they were just wonderful. Wonderful, fantastic with it. So New Hydraulics, I think they're out of Kenosha. No, not Kenosha. Oshkosh, Wisconsin. They're pretty far north Wisconsin there. So I think they're out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. New Hydraulic. If you're in the area, stop by, buy some stuff. If you're not, go online, buy some stuff. Highly recommend them. Their customer service was great. And I'll be honest with you, their customer service was great, not because they did anything out of the ordinary. Their customer service was great because they did exactly what they needed to do. Period. They were nice about the whole thing. I was nice about the whole thing. I gave them probably more information than they needed, but regardless, you know, we got everything taken care of, and we're going to be able to put this back blade on a little later than I anticipated, but we'll have it on hopefully. Well, we'll have it on before first snowfall, because we're doing it right now. We haven't had that first snowfall yet this season. So, let's go ahead and put this blade on and get moving. Okay, I'm doing my best to get the whole blade in here, but over here, if you see this thing in the corner, that's a jack stand. That's part of the safety measures. You want to put that underneath the hammer, because you're dealing with hydraulics holding up the front of the blade. You got to reach underneath it and everything. So you want something that's going to be solid to hold up the blade in case those hydraulics give way. It's not falling on top of you. You need to do that with anything with hydraulics, whether you're dealing with a floor jack. Even a hydraulic lift has locks in it. just so you have something solid. When you use a jack, you want to put down jack stands. And like I said, I was going to use the impact to pop this sucker off, just to make things a little quicker. Okay, now that I got all the bolts off, I wanted to point these out to you. So these are the bolts that we're going to be using. See, they got this square head on them, so do the old ones. That's why I have to be on the other side, so I can kind of push it down so it latches while I'm taking it off. You want to leave the bolts in, but take the nuts off. And there's a reason why. We're going to replace these one at a time. And let me pull one out. So I can show you what the difference between the two bolts are. Back them up, and my gloves are kind of getting in the way here. But if I put that one on the floor, get out of here, leaf. Put that one on the floor and this one on the floor next to one another, you can see why. This is the old bolt, this is the new. The new bolt's longer, and that's to take on the extra that you're going to be putting in with that back blade. I'm going to be removing these bolts, these old ones, one at a time, and putting the new ones in one at a time. The reason why, so it will support the existing blade. And I won't have to take it apart, I won't have to try to balance two blades at the same time or anything like that. It'll hold it pretty much in place the entire time. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. We're going to go ahead and put in these bigger bolts, or longer bolts, and then we'll mount the second blade. Okay, I just want to make sure I have enough for the other side. Now, I wasn't counting on these washers. I have to figure out if those are supposed to go in between the blade or if those are supposed to go on the outside with the nuts. Now, they didn't give me new nuts, it looks like. Just got the bolts. That's fine, we can use the old nuts. They'll work. Should be the proper specifications, all that fun stuff. And it's nice because then you don't have the extra nuts sitting around. Nobody likes to have extra nuts sitting around. So I'm going to go ahead and look and see where these washers need to go. And then I'll bring the blade over and we'll start going on that process. Okay, so after consulting the instructions here, they actually go on the side with the nut. So we're going to go ahead and mount the blade. Hopefully I got the right one. They are basically, there's two of them, and they're mirror images of each other. When you mount them, you actually want to make sure this back part is facing towards the vehicle. The reason why is that process, that bend, is what really helps it grab. If it's like this, it's not going to grab so well. So that's why you want to make sure, that's the whole premise of a back blade, because it uses that downward force and that kind of bend pressure to really scrape the concrete or asphalt or whatever you're plowing. Now, you notice I replaced those bolts one at a time, and that's so that that blade wouldn't fall out. Hopefully, one, I have these on the correct side. And this will pretty much do the same thing. Just kind of hang there. Like so. So, I know washer, nut, this side. We'll pop that on. Get them each started. I'll do one on each side just to make sure that this thing doesn't fall off on me. Now, the issue that I was having with the older blades were all the notches that are in here weren't in the right places. And there wasn't enough of them. Now, you want to make sure to finger tight these as far as you can on these first ones. It doesn't really matter too terribly much. It's when you put the impact back on them, you don't want to cross thread them. So I'm going to get the rest of these on and started by hand. They're nice and snug. Now I'm going to go grab my torque wrench and torque them down to 150 foot-pounds, which I believe, according to the instructions here, that's, let me just double check here, yeah, 150 foot. Now, I don't know if there's a particular torque spec on this. I don't see an order of operation as far as the bolts are concerned. So what I like to do is start in the middle, which is going to be the most difficult to get, and just, I should probably set it so it tightens it. I did not drive that one down very close. Probably because I had it correct the first time. And I'm actually loosening it. out. $150 foot-pounds, which is roughly when your pants rip. Now, so I like to start from the middle, and then what I'll do is I'll work my way out. I'll do this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, this one, and then that one. So it kind of pulls it back. Alright, that's the blade. Let's go ahead and move on to the other side. It's basically the same as the first, just complete opposite. Okay, we're set up on the other side of the plow here. I'm going to go through as I start setting up my tools here a little bit. Talk to you a little bit about cold weather. Cold weather work. So how do you deal with it? Well, one thing is obviously you dress in layers. You want to find a good set of warm work gloves. That helps. Best thing to do, right now I'm in the garage because it keeps me out of the wind. Keeping yourself out of the wind is going to help keep it a little warmer. It's even better if you have a garage and you can just buy a heater and work in there. But the truck won't fit in the garage with room to work with the door closed, and especially with the snowplow on it. The other thing is get a mat. Yoga mats work really well for that. This is a kneeling pad for planting bulbs or whatever that I'm using now. My yoga mat's kind of buried under a bunch of stuff. And that'll help keep something between you and the ground and you. Oops. So that would be very helpful as well to help keep you warm. But most off, the biggest thing you can do is just get over it. It's going to be cold. Don't complain. It's just going to make it worse. It really does. And it's going to be cold. You just deal with it. There's nothing you're going to do about the temperature outside. So that's probably the biggest tip of cold weather work. Let's get this thing off here. See, that's why you don't put things on with an impact. You can't even get them off with an impact. And that is another reason why you don't put things on with an impact. I know this blade was put on with an impact because there's two things that can happen. One is you put it on too tight. The other one is you put it on too loose because you're trying to hit a particular torque. to do is clean some stuff up, move the plow out, disconnect it. Good news is I don't know if you noticed this in the video, but there was a car that left my driveway, which is good because that car had to move because I'm moving the snowplow over because I want to be able to access this half the garage, so I can, because I got to still work on those rear shocks. I still got to change the oil in the truck. I still got a lot of work to do, and I'd rather do it in a garage that's open than do it in the driveway that's completely exposed to the elements. So I'm going to go ahead and get cleaned up, and we'll move this plow out of the way. Alright, so that pretty much ties us up for this episode and for this season. So, until next season, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And there's plenty of other videos to binge watch prior to this. So you can watch them over and over again. I don't care. It's cool. But we did manage to get another project off without a hitch. Usually there's a hitch, but this is probably like only the second one, I think, that we haven't run into some kind of problem. But I'm pretty excited for the first snow to see how this thing handles. I still got to get some snowplow stakes out. We still got a lot more coming up for season 2. We got to get back to the lawn air. Got some more work to do on that. While I was working on the snowplow, I had a part come in for the new Toro that is yet to be named. And until next season, we're out. Like, subscribe. There's stuff on the screen here and whatever to do that. Alright, see you next season.